All right, hello and welcome into our Casual Friday Corn-Fed Sports in the Morning show we got going on here. It's not just our look and the fact that I'm probably going to wear a soccer jersey and Gage will be wearing Golden State and a bunch of other hopeless teams jerseys over the next couple of weeks. We're going to be doing some fun type things, as you can see from that, and some Mario Kart challenges, maybe some fun little Price is Right type games. Who knows? We're just going to kind of kick it around and do some fun little things. So for now, we just have another Corn-Fed 5 for this week. We don't have a guest in studio for our video show this week. We're just kind of messing with the format and some things, but we had our first guest for the radio show yesterday, and we're going to hope to get some Husker guests in here in the next week. So stay tuned for some of that, but for now, let's jump in, start a Corn-Fed 5 with some football. So, Gage, why don't you just get us started off here?
Yeah. The Nebraska Athletic Department, as well as ESPN yesterday, announced that Nebraska has 2 nominations for the SB Awards coming up this year. Team Jack was nominated for the 69-yard touchdown run for the best moment of the year at the spring game, and then Taylor Martinez actually is in the hunt to win the best play of the year for his 76-yard touchdown run against Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game. Kind of a big deal. It's a big moment for Team Jack, getting the word out for his cause. Talk about it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it kind of plays out. He's going up against women's soccer goal Andy Murray's performance at the Olympics, but also Chuck Pagano's battle with cancer. Right. So you got 2 cancer themes there. I mean, you have to assume it's going to be one of those 2 that takes it. I mean, either way, it's going to be a big story, but just to think about what Jack's going to get to go through, to think about who he's going to get to meet through this process, the publicity he's going to get, and just thinking about what that does for somebody who's dealt with so much, for a family that's dealt with so much, that, the parents talk a lot about getting emotional and how it just kind of overwhelms them, how much support they've gotten. This is just going to be another wave. It's going to be another time that it's not about the Nebraska football program. It's not about glorifying a good gesture. It's not about any of those stupid, superficial reasons. It's about a kid battling a disease and representing a huge community. Yep. So there's thousands of kids around the country that represent that same community, the same pediatric cancer community, and to see somebody like that go up on that stage, and we saw it with autism a few years ago with the ESPYs winner, that there's a huge push for autism in this country. There's a huge push for autism awareness and some of those different things. So to see Jack being able to take his cause and Nebraska to take this uplifting athletes to the next stage, and it's not just about delivering, but it's about sending a message, I think is huge, and it's just something that I think everybody will benefit from.
Yeah, before we move on to the next topic, you guys can go vote at sbs.com, you can go to huskers.com, and there's plenty of links to be found. Just go vote. You can vote on different computers. Let's make sure we get Team Jack the win, make sure he wins. But moving on from that, Nebraska Bravo won their regional championship in women's soccer. They won 4-3 against Kolpin Kicks Schmidt, a team from Missouri. They now go to nationals. Pat, this is kind of your expertise. Go and kind of talk about that.
Yeah, they were able to come out of group play. They get a 1-0 win in the semifinals, and then go on and win a pretty offensive final game. So you got 4 Nebraska players. Alyssa Flannery had 3 goals, tied for second in the tournament. Players like Jalen Oderman and Carolyn Flynn, who contribute for Nebraska, who are normal roster players for Nebraska, who are able to contribute as well in this stage. Chelsea Roloff was the 4th Husker on the team. But it's not just that. You see a player going from North Carolina on the team as well. 3 players from Texas A&M, some of those different things. And so it just shows the talent. It shows the passion that they have in this state for soccer and for some of those different things. And when on that level, when you see it in wrestling, when you see it in volleyball, when you see it in some of those other sports that are youth club sports, some of those different things, and you're going to see Jalen and Carolyn give the coach a water bath here in a second, so that just kind of shows their attitude and their spirit. But when you see some of those kind of things, that's why Nebraska is successful on the collegiate level at some of that stuff. So it's just encouraging for that. It's encouraging for the program. It's encouraging for those players to come back and say, hey, we've done it on the national club level. Now let's do it on this national level. We've seen some of our players at Texas A&M, 15th ranked team last year, and they were defeating the NCAA tournament, some of those things. So the Nebraska players have seen it up close and personal, and now they need to turn over and do it for themselves.
Absolutely. And one last thing about it, that's their 2nd actual regional championship. So congratulations to you guys at Nebraska Bravo. Moving on from that, some more serious, I think, the Uplifting Athletes Run. It's July 21st. It's kind of ran through the Nebraska Athletic Department, mainly Nebraska football team. They kind of open up a chapter. There's 21 other schools they are the 21st school that does it in the United States. Like I said, July 21st you can go to Memorial Stadium, 8 a.m. It's $20 for a fun run, just 1 mile family run, and then there's a 5K race. All that goes to the uplifting athletes. They get Team Jack, all that kind of stuff.
And I think the big thing about it is that they've found a way to incorporate it. They've mentioned that it's going to be the only annual fundraiser. They're not going to throw a bunch of stuff. So it's nice that they finally have an anchor kind of event, something big to go off of. But the thing that I think that's really important here is the Lincoln Track or the Lincoln Running Club. I'm not exactly sure.
Lincoln Track Club.
The Lincoln Track Club And Glenn Moss, the guy who's in charge of that, stepped forward and they said, we want to help. We want to make this race. We want to make this a big event.
Yeah.
And they're helping integrate it into the community. So it's not just a fundraising event. It's it's people like Glenn Moss and these community leaders who latch onto these programs. The athletic department can go a long way with a lot of these stuff. Uplifting athletes can go a long way. But unless you have people like that contributing it in and giving their attitude and making it a good road race instead of just a good charity event and things like that, that's where you truly make a difference in some of these communities, some of these causes, and some of this stuff. So just to see that sort of effort and that sort of energy put in by people who have nothing to do with the cause, and to see the community kind of coming together to support the athletes, I think is a huge deal. So it'll be something interesting. I'm probably going to run. I'm hoping I can run both races, and it's a great cause building off the same stuff from our first one.
Yeah, as you were saying, stay tuned. I'm sure at least Pat and I will be there. Maybe the whole corn-fed team will be there running and covering it. It should be a
costumes,
good time.
Maybe.
Yeah, costumes. Who knows? You got like I said, fun run. It's got a mile run with the family at first, 8 o'clock, followed by a 5K race at 8:30. So moving on from that, we're going to talk about volleyball, actually, Nebraska volleyball. Before we start getting next week or two, I guess, we're going to start previewing the fall sports coming up for Nebraska. Right now, we're kind of talk about volleyball. Obviously, the Devaney Center, if you drive by it, is getting updated outside. Pat, you want to take it from here?
Yeah, we're going to be quick on this one because next week we're going to have a huge volleyball week. We've already talked about some football previews, talked about the soccer team a little bit, but volleyball is going to be one of the big areas that we're going to jump in, latch in on our coverage. So we'll have some previews, kind of get a depth chart coming out next week, and just our ideas, obviously. I mean, nothing set in
Maybe
stone.
Maybe some players?
Yeah, we're going to try and get some players in the studio, but we got, number one recruiting class. You got a former SEC the player of the year transferring in. You got returning talent. You got, just the energy of the new state. And so there's a lot of things going on in the world of Nebraska volleyball. So next week, we're going to have our first kind of breakdown depth chart, season preview type thing. Hopefully get some guests in here, but we have some fun little things for football and volleyball and soccer coming up this fall for previews. So stay tuned on that.
Not to mention cross country.
Well, I'm saying the actual previews, the actual segments we're doing. So we have some fun things planned for that. But there's more to come on that. So we don't want to spoil it there. But stay tuned for some volleyball coverage here for Corn-Fed Sports next week.
Just a little teaser. But our last subject today of the Corn-Fed 5 is actually...
And in the last one, it comes straight from... This is, obviously, you can tell from the jersey, this is my idea. But with the the Confederations Cup going to a shootout yesterday, seen a lot of PKs. I mean, people always talk about the shootout and how scary it is and how it's... So we just wanted to take a little theme on that. So, Gage, I'll have you set up the premise of what we're talking about here.
Yesterday, Spain and Italy went into a shootout. So from that, Pat, the excitement of a shootout in soccer, I think I love the shootout in soccer. It kind of reminds me of the shootout in hockey, the most exciting part of the game. So, Pat, out of the UNL soccer team, what do you think would happen if we went into a shootout? Who would be a star?
The reason I brought this up is because I like it, like UNL's Nebraska's matchup so much here that. First of all, you start with the keeper. All of it comes down to mental with the keeper. I'm surprised you saw as many makes as you did yesterday, because if I had to look at Gigi Buffon or Iker Casillas in the face, I'd probably run away in fear. And so I think that's where it starts with, is some of those different things. But Emma Stevens, she plays off her line. She's fearless. She comes out. She's not afraid to come and punch the ball out. She's kind of scary. And so if you have to stare her down from 12 yards out, nerves, everything racing through, that's first off where I think you're going to find yourself behind the 8 ball, because she's a beast there. But then when you look at some of the things that I think really make teams good penalty shooters and good setup is when you have some defenders who are just stone cold. And yesterday, Spain had both their central defenders come up and score in the shootout. So we got Marissa Hayes and Ari Romero, who have played a lot in the central defense for Nebraska. I think somebody like Ari could be your first shooter, lots of confidence. Marissa, just every time she comes forward, she's got confidence. I think Katie Kreutner would be a selection. She's kind of got that scale, that flair. She might be the one who chips the keeper, does something cool like that. And the two other picks that I think they'd go at their 5 are Mamie Conroy and Jordan Jackson. So those are the 5 picks that I made. Got a striker, and then you got Jordan sitting in that 5th spot, what Pirlo did for Italy yesterday, kind of that clutch shooter. So I think that you look at that. I mean, Nebraska, I want to see a shootout now that I've even started thinking about it. I like their atmosphere, their attitude. Come to the NCAA tournament. If that happens, I think that Nebraska is going to do pretty well in any kind of shootout setting. So
and we're going to keep this file, so
now if it comes to fruition, we'll show it. I'll have all 5 shooters wrong. They'll miss a couple shots, and I'll be the one to blame. So I'll knock on wood, but I don't know if that's going to help much. But we'll send it out there on my hopeful pleas for a penalty kick shootout. So that wraps up our kind of fun-loving Corn-Fed 5, like we said, for this Friday. We're going to have some more stuff. Next Friday is actually going to be the opening ceremonies for our FIFA tournament. So we're going to have our FIFA World Cup Corn-Fed Sports. We'll have opening ceremonies of some sorts next week. And so we'll have some more fun coming your way. But that wraps up our first full week here of production for Corn-Fed Sports in the Morning. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like always, we're going to be putting this up on our site, putting it up on our podcast channel. So there's going to be resources if you've stumbled on this week's down the road. Thanks for checking out our archives. But for now, for Corn-Fed Sports, I'm Pat Radigan.
I'm Gage Peak.
Thanks for joining us.